Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another reading vlog. I hope you guys have been doing well. So for this vlog, I'm doing a themed vlog where I am trying to find my next favorite detective mystery. Some of the reasons why I love detective mysteries so much are also some of the reasons that make them ridiculous. I love the flawed, very Sherlock Holmes, often detectives. I love the forced romance plots that make no sense. The little towns that have more murders than they do people. I don't know. It's all just like so charming and comfortable. And I think a very good setup to reveal a lot of interesting character dynamics. So I'm going to share the books with you in order of lowest rated on Goodreads to highest rated on Goodreads. That just seemed like the right order today. So the lowest rated on Goodreads is The Other Half by Charlotte Vassell. I think this was rated a 3.3, 3.4. I'll put it up on the screen. I think it might be the lowest rated book I've read this whole year. So very intrigued, but this just sounded so perfect. So it says Rupert's 30th birthday is a black tie dinner at the Kentish town McDonald's, catered with cocaine and champagne. The morning after, his girlfriend Clemmy is found murdered on Hampstead Heath, a single stiletto heel jutting from under a bush. The investigation into who killed Clemmy is going to be about aristocrats and classics degrees, Instagram influencers, and whose father knows who. So very much getting the vibe that this is about, of course, the more wealthy, more privileged people. But I feel like sometimes they make for a really twisty and messed up mystery book, which I think is what I'm kind of in the mood for right now. So this is the first one. And I think the first one that I'm actually going to pick up in the vlog as well. Next up is The Word is Murder by Anthony Horowitz. Surprisingly, the next two books have almost the exact same Goodreads rating. I think this was 3.93 and the other one was 3.95. So I was inspired to pick this up because I've recently been making my way through the Magpie Murder series. I don't know if that's what it's called, but it has Magpie Murders, Moonflower Murders, and there's a new one that's about to come out. And this author actually has a whole nother series, so I thought I would give this a go as well. It says, a woman crosses a London street. It is just after 11 a.m. on a bright spring morning, and she is going into a funeral parlor to plan her own service. 6 hours later, the woman is dead, strangled with a crimson curtain cord in her own home. Then this next part is like what actually made me want to pick this up. Enter disgraced police detective Daniel Hawthorne, a brilliant, eccentric man, as quick with an insult as he is to crack a case. And Hawthorne has a partner, the celebrated novelist Anthony Horowitz. Did he write himself into this book? Like, I need to know. I have found his novels for the most part to be very plotty and addictive to read. So hopefully this is just as good. And last up is probably one of the most prolific mystery writers I know of, and that is Anne Cleeves. She's most known for the Shetland series and the Vera series, which are both PBS mystery series, I believe. And this is her newest detective. It says, in North Devon, where two rivers converge and run into the sea, Detective Matthew Venn stands outside the church as his estranged father's funeral takes place. On the day Matthew left the strict evangelical community he grew up in, he lost his family too. Now, as he turns and walks away, he receives a call from one of his team. A body has been found on the beach nearby, a man with a tattoo of an albatross on his neck, stabbed to death. I think this is really going to delve into some of the interpersonal relationships, the complexities of the detective. And I always love when a detective mystery does that, when there's a lot of character development of the detective themselves. So those are the reading plans for the week. Tyler and I are actually about to go to Les Mis. It was a birthday present that I got for him because he loves like musicals and going out to the theater. And so that's what we are about to head out to tonight. His favorite musical might actually be Les Mis. Mine is Cabaret, but I also adore Les Mis. So we're very excited to just get out of the house, put some fancy clothes on, and do something fun. So I'm just popped into my little spare bedroom to give you guys a little update about both Les Mis and a reading update. I'm wearing Tyler's sweater. It says Silly Goose on the Loose. He never wears it. I love it. It's my favorite sweater to wear, so we're wearing it for this clip. Also, lighting is a little sad today because it's very kind of dreary and gross outside, but we did get some rain and it has not rained in a month, so I can't be angry about that. So first, Les Mis was just incredible. I am always so amazed by how well these shows are put together. It seems like, of course, I know that there are little mistakes that happen throughout the show, but as you're watching it, it just seems like everything is perfectly choreographed and everything goes together so well. And one of my favorite parts to any show that we go to is the set design. I always think it's so amazing that they're able to transport you to a totally different place by whatever they can fit on a stage and how seamlessly everything moves together. It's just like absolutely one of my favorite parts to any show that we go to. But needless to say, the whole night was perfect. And when we got home, we actually started watching a little bit of the movie that came out a few years ago, the Anne Hathaway, Hugh Jackman adaptation, and we kind of fell asleep to that. So that was the perfect way to end a very Les Mis themed day. But we've just kind of had a chilled out day, which has given me an opportunity to get into the other half. So I don't have any super positive or negative feelings about this book so far. We're just getting into the story, meeting the characters, and it is set in modern day London. The beginning of the story starts as a group of friends, or more acquaintances, are getting ready for a very ridiculous, over-the-top party celebrating Rupert's 30th birthday party. He has rented out a McDonald's and made it into the most extravagant possible place for the occasion. And so it is complete with cocktails made of McDonald's milkshakes. They have a butler to serve the food. And they have also made McDonald's staples like the ball pit at a lot of the play areas in McDonald's into little elements for the party. It is out of control. And right at the beginning, we are following two friends that kind of have feelings for each other, Alex and Nella, as they are getting ready to go to the party. They go to a little bar to pregame, kind of going through some of their feelings about the friend group and also some of their maybe complicated feelings about the host, Rupert, but also just kind of getting ready to go to this party. As we know, this is going to be the site of the murder, and it is Rupert's girlfriend, Clemmy, who's going to get murdered. So I've been kind of closely following what she is doing during this whole beginning part to the story. So after that, we flash forward to the discovery of the body and some of the initial investigation steps. And I haven't gotten too much further than that. Honestly, I'm only at about page 50. It did have the very tropey scene that a lot of detective murder mysteries have, where the detective is like, oh, I need the CCTV footage, talk to all of the close acquaintances, go through all the trash. And I always find those scenes very satisfying, like they're checking off all the boxes, all the things that they need to be doing to properly investigate the crime. And so that was a very satisfying little montage-y scene for me. But yeah, so for the writing is very decorative and descriptive, I would say. And I actually really enjoy that type of writing. It's putting me in this friend group. It's very immersive. I think that it was really well done on the first page of the book where it says, "A girl is dying, a girl who wears bespoke perfume. She wants you to inhale her deliciousness, to know that she is untouched by the dirt, the smog, the filth of your London." I do have to say, though, there are some parts where the floweriness of it spills into the dialogue a little bit. It makes the dialogue a little eye-rolling, not the most believable, even though these people are very privileged and maybe would speak in a way that not everybody would speak. One example of that was on page 13 of the book when Alex and Nell are chatting, and Nell says, "Rupert did this self-satisfied smug thing he does. He drove us there in that little toot-toot convertible he'd rented. The sky was blue, and the light just dot, dot, dot. Everything felt golden. The temple was appropriately numinous. I don't know if that's how you would describe something to a friend in a bar before you're going to a party, but I don't know. Maybe that's more of her vibe and how she talks. So we will see as we learn more about these characters in this story. But so far, I'm enjoying the first little part to the story. I am planning to read a bit more tonight. Gilbert is in a very snuggly mood back here. So maybe Gilbert and I will have some reading and snuggles tonight. Morning, everybody. I was up much earlier this morning than I wanted to be. Tyler had to go to work early this morning. His alarm went off at like 5:45, and then I wasn't able to fall back asleep, which is okay because I've had a couple cups of coffee this morning. I think this is cup number 3. And I had some pumpkin overnight oats, and I got to read a bit more of the other half. So we're now on page 133, so nearing the halfway point. So one interesting theme that was explored a little bit more in the part that I read today is the idea of privilege related to money, but also privilege related to race. So our main detective's last name is Beauchamp, which he pronounced Beauchamp, but Rupert, who is our party boy / kind of a suspect in this murder, his last name is also Beauchamp, but he pronounces it Beecham. Obviously kind of hinting at the fact that they have similar last names, of course, but differently pronounced based on their different upbringings. So there was an interesting passage on page 117 where they kind of chat about this. So he's talking to his detective buddy, and he says, this is our main detective, Beauchamp. He says, you and me, we're both third-generation immigrants. We're from the colonies. You get it, right? The lack of accountability. Where's the retribution? When the British government ended the slave trade, they borrowed $20 million to compensate slavers for their losses, not us. Beauchamp was probably the name of the plantation owner that owned my ancestors, hence why I have it. I don't want you to think my judgment is clouded. If anything, this proves my innate sense of justice. I can hold on to something for 200 years. So it kind of places their cultural backgrounds, both the person being accused and the detective who is investigating the mystery, in close proximity, and kind of builds an interesting contrast there. So I'm intrigued to see where that's going to go and if there are going to be more passages kind of looking into some of those differences. Anywho, I need to get in the shower, do some studying for my board exam. So I am taking my pediatric boards in a couple of weeks, and there's a lot to memorize. So I'm going to be doing a little bit more of that. And then later today, I have to go to the lab to get some blood work done. So it's just going to be kind of a chill, get my life together type of day. Nothing huge. Hopefully should be some good breaks to get some more reading done. You can probably hear my Roomba in the background, but here's a little outfit of the day. Very old t-shirt, jeans, and I even put my hoops on to go get my blood drawn. Gotta keep it classy. Just got back moment, I'm enjoying a little London fog latte with some whipped topping. Clarence is joining the party. I think he wants some too. Gilbert's just peripherally waiting for something to happen, so maybe he can get some. But back to studying. Tonight I am making a delicious tomato soup. We have some carrots from the garden that need a bit of a shower, some onions, our tomatoes from the garden. These are the San Marzanos, and we also have our heirloom tomatoes. And then I'm going to make a grilled cheese. Should be very delicious. Grilled cheese is in the pan, and tomato soup is cooking. Pray for the moms. So we all made it through the tornado sirens okay, moms included, but it actually made for a great setting to binge read the end of the other half, which I ended up doing yesterday and actually finished. So I wanted to chat you guys through some of my thoughts of this one because they're kind of all over the place. Maybe by saying them out loud, they'll make more sense to me. First off, starting with the things that I liked. Overall, I think I liked the detective in this story. I think Caius was a very refreshing person. He wasn't the pompous, monocled detective who has no friends and doesn't know how to communicate with people. He was a very modern, millennial type of person going through a breakup and a tough time in his life and trying to rediscover who he was. That was very refreshing. I did feel like perhaps he wasn't quite as fleshed out as he could have been, but given that this is a series, there's plenty more time to look into his backstory and see really what he's about. And I also really enjoyed his communication with the people that he worked with. He works with Matt and Amy, their other detectives in the office, and I felt like their banter, interplay, how they talked about the case was funny. It was fun to follow. I think this did have a lot of satire in it, which I think was fairly well done, talking about kind of a satirical approach to the wealthiest people in the country and weaving that into the mystery. However, while there were some parts of this book that I really enjoyed, I did feel like it was trying to do too much, that it wasn't able to necessarily pull off in all parts of it. It was trying to be a satire. It was trying to be a murder mystery novel. There was some like secret history-esque aspects to this, as there was this whole Greek art academic vibe that I'm not going to get too far into, but it was definitely there in this book. And it did feel like parts of that did get rushed. There was one chapter about 3/4 of the way through where so much was revealed, and it felt like that could have been a little bit more drawn out, while there are other parts of the book that didn't really add as much, that maybe could have been shortened a little. I think this book maybe could have done with a bit more editing, fine-tuning the structure of it. However, I do feel like it had a lot of potential. I am really intrigued about these detectives and how they work together. I am kind of interested in this modern millennial detective that's very different from a lot of the other mysteries that I've read. But I think this book suffered from a lot of the things that I often see in first books, where it has so much potential, but we're trying to rein everything in and make it a really kind of compact, concise book that comes across. I mean, I did binge read it in a tornado, so it was compelling, so it does have that going for it. Overall, I think I'm going to give this a 3 stars. This felt like a solidly enjoyable book. Not one of my absolute favorite books, but I am very intrigued. And I think could be a contender for the mystery series that I continue on, even if I rank other books higher, because I think potentially further books in this series could be all-time favorites of mine. Who knows? So next book up is The Word is Murder by Anthony Horowitz. I already know that I love this author's writing because I've really enjoyed Magpie Murders and Moonflower Murders, but this is a whole nother series that he wrote himself into, so I have no idea. What I'm going to think. I do have a bit more studying. I have a phone call for our initial flower arrangements for Tyler and I's wedding at 2:30, but there should be plenty of time to also get a little bit of reading done and get some first impressions of this book.
Yesterday there was sun and there was rain, beauty in the mundane.
So this morning I woke up and had some lovely buckwheat pancakes with strawberry compote, which has been one of my favorite fall recipes. It's just so cozy. I'll post it down below if you guys are looking for like a slightly healthier way to have pancakes, which are my favorite breakfast. Then this morning I went to the bookstore, went to go get some coffee with some work friends, and I also got to read a bit of The Word is Murder. I did not buy anything at the bookstore, which I was very proud of myself for. Almost did. Got halfway to the desk and I was like, nope. I have to walk away. So I am currently on page 77, which is chapter 6 in the book. And so far, this book is unlike anything I've ever read. It is so meta. It's about an author writing about himself, who is an author in this book, writing about a detective who is investigating a mystery. There's so many different levels where you're trying to kind of piece together everything, which makes it a really interesting read, but also something where the format of it and the way that it's thought out is a little bit different than mysteries that I've read before. So I'm kind of still trying to grapple with it and think about how I feel about it. This book is very much inspired by Sherlock Holmes. So the detective in this story is Daniel Hawthorne. He is a not super socially aware but brilliant detective who investigates crimes as a consultant for the police department when they can't figure it out, essentially. And Anthony Horowitz is asked to ghostwrite essentially this detective's book about him looking into this crime. There are a lot of scenes in here that are very reminiscent of Sherlock Holmes, where he'll state like 4 deductions that he's made about somebody and then kind of go back and say how he figured all of those things out. And so while those parts are interesting, and I do like them because I do like Sherlock Holmes, they do feel very much like a nod to it. And of course, it's never going to be as good as the same thing. But we shall see how it continues to develop. I'm excited to make a bit more of a dent in this and continue to wrap my mind around this very unconventional, very book within a book thriller. Anyways, more studying that I need to do today, and then I have Orange Theory today. Tyler, so then I have Orange Theory this evening, so should be a pretty chilled out day. So Tyler and I went to the baseball game last night, which was very rainy and kind of dreary, but also very much a fall vibe, like end of the season baseball, very much always makes me think of October and getting ready for the fall season, which was lovely. Today has taken a little bit of a turn because Clarence has had a couple like vomiting episodes this overnight and this morning. So we have taken him over to the urgent vet, which is where Tyler is with him right now. Gilbert is still here, but I think missing his brother a little bit. And I'm about to go actually like switch out with Tyler since the wait is going to be, I think, somewhere around 8 hours to get him to be seen. So probably more just like caution out of anything, but he's not the kind of cat that vomits a lot, and he is the kind of cat that eats everything in sight. Like, we have child locks on all of our cabinets because he will get in and eat everything. So I think we just want to make sure that everything's okay. But I am going to bring Anthony Horowitz's book and also the last book in this vlog to hopefully have a little emergency vet reading challenge. I don't know, try and make it less stressful than it's going to be. So about to head over there to do that for the rest of the day, and I'll keep you guys posted on how everything turns out with Clarence. Fingers crossed. Maybe it's just like a stomach bug, or maybe he ate something that's going to pass, but we'll see. from the emergency vet, although only briefly because we're about to actually have to go back there again. Basically they got an x-ray of Clarence's belly, and there was no like big obstruction, but there was some food in his belly. I did give him a little bit of food before he went back to get his exam, but there was just kind of like a lot in there, so they weren't sure if it was something that he ate versus like something that he wasn't supposed to eat versus just the food that he got when I gave him some in the waiting room. So he has been without food or water today, which he has hated. And we're going back to do repeat x-rays to make sure that whatever was in his stomach is gone. He has been totally fine today, no vomiting, been totally himself, been very squirrely and wanting food. So I'm really, really hoping that perhaps like everything's gone, it's resolved. It was just the food that I gave him and he's going to be fine. I did end up binge reading the end of The Word is Murder, which I overall enjoyed. I don't think I really went into the plot of this, but basically a woman goes into a funeral parlor to plan her funeral. She is like no condition. She is like no overt reason for why she would be doing this. But then later that day she is murdered. And so we kind of go into her story, some dark secrets in her past, and why this sequence of events happened. It's interesting because this is kind of like a fictional true crime because the author is writing about himself if he was writing a true crime novel. But of course, none of this actually happened. It's just him imagining, like, what if I was like Watson? What if I was following Sherlock Holmes around to investigate crimes in London? And so I think that made the reveal of this have to be a bit more realistic because you can't have a crazy reveal of something that's supposed to be like a true crime novel. On the other hand, I didn't find the end of this as fantastical and crazy as some of the reveals like Magpie Murders, Moonflower Murders. And so I think it kind of was like a 3.5 star. I did really enjoy the book overall. I do enjoy the writing style, but I'm just not sure that this concept for a mystery series is like exactly what I want to read right now, or if the format works too much for me. I might need to think a little bit on this one before I truly decide what I feel. But anyways, we're going to go back to the emergency vet on a very rainy day. Fingers crossed that this will be not a 13-hour wait like it was yesterday. But on the other hand, like, mind is blown by all the things that the people at the emergency vet do and have to do. And I know Clarence is not the sickest animal that was in there, so I do understand why he had to wait for a long time. But anyways, we're about to head back over there, and I think I'm going to start a little bit of the long call. A long call. Why do I not remember the title of the book? Anyways, we're going to start a bit of the last book of this reading vlog while I am in the waiting room once again. It is the next day. We were just at the emergency vet for 3 hours yesterday. Clarence got his repeat x-rays. Everything was fine on the x-rays, and he's back to his normal self, his rambunctious self. I was cooking dinner tonight, and he ate a little bit of cheese, and I was like, Clarence, you have got to help yourself here because we can only do so much. So while I wish that we hadn't been through that whole experience, I am very relieved that it turned out how it did and that we're not scrambling this week to go to more vet visits, more blood work, anything like that. So, but a quick little reading update. So I binge read so much of this book today. I've been listening to it on audiobook and then also reading a little bit of the physical book as well. And currently I am on chapter 30 of the audiobook. So very much nearing the end. So far, this book is much more atmospheric than the previous books that I've read in this vlog. You're following Detective Matthew Venn, who lives in North Devon. He grew up there, actually, and he's now come back to his hometown to be a police detective. He has a lot of complex relationships with some of the people that live in the town, including his parents, which his father recently passed away, and his mother doesn't really speak to him anymore. And so there's a lot of kind of background complexity that I think is going to be looked at further in the rest of this series. But this particular murder mystery is about a man who is found dead on a beach, and we kind of piece through all the different people in his life. He has a lot of secrets in his past as well. I really love how descriptive Anne Cleeves' writing is. I love all of the kind of seaside imagery, but also the coldness and the darkness of a lot of what happened in this, what is seemingly a pretty idyllic place. Anne Cleeves often describes the tourists coming there and seeing the very charming towns, but beneath the surface, there's a lot more than one might see. So this book is slightly slow moving. I think that would be my one critique of it so far, especially the beginning as we're meeting all of the new cast of characters for this whole series, as well as the characters for this specific murder. There's a lot of scene building, setting building, character building, and so it is quite a lot to get used to. However, I do really tend to like the more descriptive writing more, and so I think that this could be a winner, but it is all left to be seen in the last few pages because, of course, we know the end of a mystery thriller is often the make or break. So planning to read a bit more of this tonight. I do have to do a bit more studying, and then tomorrow hoping to finish this off so that I can upload this vlog and move on to more maybe non-thrillery reading plans. Although let's be real, I'm probably going to want to pick up another thriller. I'm like in the fall thriller mood, but excited to kind of pick out what my next series is going to be and see how everything kind of comes together. So this morning I finished The Long Call. I think this is the quickest I've read a mystery book in like a year. I just absolutely flew through this. I think one of the reasons why I found this so compelling was the central detective, Matthew Venn. I really like the interplay between his current life being a gay man and a detective in North Devon with his upbringing in a very strict evangelical religious cult. I think this book placed those two things and obviously the conflict between those two things together very well, but didn't kind of force certain things on you as a reader. It just showed the obvious conflict and the struggle that this particular character was facing. It is so present in every single page of this book, from the characters that were important people growing up, cropping up in his most recent mystery, to, his mother not really wanting to interact with him because he no longer wants to be a part of this religious organization. I think that conflict was so relevant and interesting and really well done here. But not only Matthew Venn, all the side characters in this book I felt were pretty well developed. You have Jen Rafferty, who is a mom, really struggling with the ability to be a detective and also be a mom. She's often not being able to get out of work in time to put her kids to bed. And then when she gets to spend time with her kids, she wonders, who are these people? I don't really know them anymore. And then you also have Ross, who is a new detective and is pretty immature and honestly kind of very frustrating, but you see his growth a little bit in this book too. So I ended up giving this book 4 stars. I really, really enjoyed reading it. I think that it has a lot of potential for further character development in the upcoming books. And I just enjoyed the vibes, to be honest, like being in a seaside town, the wind, the gulls, like there was just something about it that I found very cozy. So we've reached the end of the vlog. This week I read 3 mystery books, over 1,000 pages of mystery, and I overall really, really enjoyed it. So I think the book that I would pick up next would be the second book in The Long Call. However, I could also see myself picking up the sequel to any of these books at some point, although the sequel to Long Call would probably be the one that I would be most excited to read next. If you made it to the end of this very long reading vlog, comment a flower emoji. But I will see you guys very soon with some more reading projects and vlogs. Thanks so much for watching.